everybody. Welcome back to Record-ology. I am so glad you're here. We're going to have a lot of fun today. I got something very, very interesting that's been in the works for a good week that I'm really excited to share with you. But first, I want to give a big thank you to all the members of the Nation that joined us for our first Vinyl Nation only show this past Friday. It was a lot of fun. Can't believe they stole that, but I was glad to find it again. So that was fun. If you're not yet a member of the Nation, consider yourself invited. Click on the links all over the place to join. But today, we're taking a look at a CD player that doesn't love you back. So in this episode, I am trying to acquire a CD player changer. If you remember, I donated mine some months back, and I want to have a CD changer again. But this was a weird one, and I had a feeling it wouldn't be a good one, and it kind of lived up to that. You're not going to want to miss this.
Welcome to Record-ology.
So if you guys remember, not too long ago, I made the perhaps hasty decision to donate not all, but some of my gear. And in so doing, my wife said to me, she says, you know you're going to be buying this all back. And I'm like, no, because at the time I wanted to get a mini system, which I did, and that was a separate saga, which you got to enjoy on this channel. But I went for it, so I donated a few of my rack-mounted items. I essentially gutted my rack system and donated a lot of it. So I ended up donating my 5-disc CD changer and my beautiful Kenwood tuner, among other things. And I've been, true to my wife's prediction, slowly putting it all back. And I came across this, and it's a CD changer. It's a Pioneer PD-M423 CD changer. It's a 6-disc. So in that sense, it's even, better, quote unquote, than my 5-disc rotary system. I had the Sylvania or Symphonic, which I learned to really love. But this thing it's a very interesting device, to say the least. I much prefer the 5-disc rotary changers. I had never had one of those as a kid or as growing up. We never had a 5-disc changer. So I'd always wanted one because I had seen them and, the rich kids' houses, stuff like that. So when I found that, I decided to get myself that 5-disc changer. I was really thankful to have it, and I loved it. So lately I've been using just my Blu-ray player for that purpose, which it's adequate, but that's about all I could say. I mean, it doesn't have like programmability, those features. It's not a dedicated CD player. It's not designed specifically for that purpose. So when I came across this, I'm like, okay, cool. So there's a CD changer. The benefit over a non-rotary changer, this is, I guess, what you would call a cassette-based, shuffle changing system. JVC did a lot of things like this in their mini systems, but it's got a lot smaller footprint. So, if you were to put a 5-disc rotary changer here, the box would come out to like here. It'd be a little wider. They were just beasts. They took up a lot of space. So with one of these guys, you get a much smaller form factor. It's about the size of a VCR, and it's nice and thin. It's like 2 rack units. So, yeah, I mean, it's got its place, but I never really... this wasn't my favorite. The only time I had been exposed to this type of a CD player was actually when I worked in broadcasting in the 90s. We had a similar unit that we used for the phone hold system, the audio that you would hear, and we just had these CDs on like eternal repeat. And when you would call and get on hold or wait to be transferred, you would be listening to music that came out of this thing. So it's got some cool features. I'm pretty excited to test out this thing called Pulse Flow. Take a closer look there. So the Pulse Flow is an advanced DAC that converts digital information to listenable analog sound. Every CD player or digital device has it, but this is a more advanced one. There's some smoothing features in it and some other things that really help to give you a good, accurate sound. So as I researched this a bit, I learned that that's a pretty desirable DAC. So the Pulse Flow is analogous to like the MASH system for Technics and Panasonic and other sort of branded DACs that other companies would use. So I'm excited to give that a listen. So I started getting a little more excited once I saw that. I'm like, oh, maybe it won't be so bad after all, because to me, I don't know why. I mean, it's kind of a cool technology. We'll take a look at it here, and we'll look inside it too. I will take this apart and we'll see how it works. But mostly I'm just hoping to have a functional, dedicated CD player. This cassette, well, I guess you have to have it plugged in to eject it, so we'll do that. So to eject this, to load it up with CDs, you press the eject button and it pops it out. This is the exact same cartridge that you can use in your car. It even says so right there. And we'll load it up with CDs and we'll test it. And then you just kind of insert it. To me, it's less of a actively listening to CDs kind of a device and more of a background noise machine. You know what I mean? Almost like a Muzak system. It's not like a hi-fi, in my opinion, like a let's sit down and put a CD on, because in order to do so, you have to pop this out, you have to fiddle with it, you have to load a CD up, put it back in. It's not just like put a CD in and listen to it. So that's my, predisposition towards this unit. As you can tell, I'm not giving it a fair chance right out of the gate. But hey, we're gonna do it. I'm gonna force myself to give it a chance. You saw me wiping it down. I also give it a little bit of cleaning earlier. This is highly recommended. Definitely get yourself some Clorox wipes. They're easy to come by now. They're not as hard as they used to be. Not only does it clean, but it disinfects. So you'll get all of the dust and grime off, but you'll also get all of the bacteria and germs off of it as well. So, all right, so let's take a closer look at this area right here and look inside that mechanism and try to learn how this all works. Okay, so we're going to take a look. We're going to open up this device and look at it, but you can see a couple rails. If I remember right, this reads the discs upside down. I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't want to say that incorrectly, but I think that's right. We'll have to look here in a minute. But when it's closed, this little flap here covers the works, lest you get dust in there. As you can tell, I'm already collecting some. Let's go ahead and load up the cassette first. I was right. It does require that the discs are face up. And yes, these are CDRs, so it'll be interesting to see if they will work on this unit or not. It's the same technology, but instead of there being pits and lands, there's basically dye that is either, made opaque or not. Some CD lasers can read it, some can't. If not, then we'll put regular CDs in there. Let's go ahead and insert this. Oh boy. One of those days. Goes in there very nicely. But let's look at that display. Let's look at that up close. Okay, so it's pretty simple. It's an orange backlit display, very, very dim. This is probably a fluorescent display that's just kind of, I don't know if I'd say it's on its last leg, but it's aged. To the eye, it's not strobing like that. It doesn't have that cloud either. That's just a camera effect, but it is pretty dang dim. So it's pretty simple. You can see that you can toggle through the different discs, and then you have the ability to track different songs, and then obviously you can hit play. You can see it pull the disc out, or I should say you can see it flip the tray out, and then hopefully the song starts playing. There's a lot of clunking and snapping, but it's pretty typical. I don't think it likes these rewritable discs. Yeah, I don't think it likes this rewritable disc. All right, so what we're going to do is this. I'm going to put in some real CDs, and I'm going to connect it to a little Bluetooth speaker. This is always fun to deploy. What do you mean deploy? It's a Bluetooth speaker. I'm just easily impressed, okay? It's a Bluetooth speaker, but it's also got a line input. So what we'll do is I'll hook up the cables to the back of the unit and into the speaker. And I know that's not going to give us the best high fidelity test, but right now I really just want to demonstrate the functionality of this unit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Load these CDs up, and we'll go from there. Okay, so sorry for the weird reflection there. I've got a sock holding up the microphone onto the light ring. In full transparency there, but it works. It's a great shock mount. All right, so I've got some real CDs. Let's put it in there. When you put this on, or when you put the cartridge in, it turns it on automatically. Now the display looks not as orange, even to the eye, not just on camera. but it's still not strobing. It doesn't have that cloudy effect. Okay, so I've got the speaker hooked up. I've got real CDs in there. Let's see what happens. If you hear clicking, it's just me adjusting the volume. Oh, wow. That does not sound good. Okay, let me try that again. Yeah. That's not good. Let's skip songs there. Is that interference or is that... All right, let's skip. Let's skip to a different disc. Let's see it. Change that out, and so we're gonna change to a different disc. Let's see it doing its magic there. Huh. Okay. I don't know what's causing that, so let me do a little further investigation. Okay, so I've got good CDs in here. I've got a much better speaker system hooked up. Let's try this again. Hopefully it sounds better this time. I'm a little nervous. Nope. It definitely has problems. So what are causing the issues? I'm not 100% sure. It could be a dirty laser, although to me that sounds more like processing than anything else. So now's as good a time as any to really get into it and see if we can find out if there's anything, you know, that is easily fixable, but I have a feeling I will not be able to make this work, unfortunately. Let's try one more thing here. Let's try disc 1, track 1. Transport seems to be working. It's just what actually comes out in terms of sound is not good. Okay, now it won't actually play disc 1, which is bad. Skip forward a couple of tracks. Okay, let me switch. I do have it in an angle right now, so it could totally be because of that. Let me try the third disc in the cassette and see if that will work. It really doesn't like to operate at an angle. So forget what I said about it being more friendly with different angles. It is definitely not. And now I can't seem to even get it to change discs. So we have a dud on our hands, I'm afraid, folks. Should have shown this earlier, but this is the underside. Kind of an interesting design here. Nothing really to be able to control. There's anchor points for the chassis, and that's about it. Aww. Interesting. Okay. Let's take a gander at what we got here. First of all, this CD mechanism is monstrous. I mean, it's not as big as everything that would be required to play a CD in a a rotary system, but compared to like a single disc drive mechanism, it's huge. Compared to an actual CD itself, for comparison, it's almost double the size. So that's amazing. Wow. Okay. And then the circuit board is over here. Interesting to find the power supply mounted right on the board. There's minimal shielding around it. I'm not going to touch anything. It's still plugged in. I know this is a horrendous idea, but I'm not going to be touching anything. Let's look at some of the circuit board stuff. I always like to spot other brands. I can already spot a Toshiba IC. And right next, look at this monstrous cap. Interesting. Let's see if we can spot some other brands here. Now these codes on here, is that a JVC chip? JRC chip, okay. So these codes on here can be all traced back to different manufacturers, but big name companies like Sony, Sanyo, Toshiba will put their names right on the chip itself. There is a ribbon cable connecting the front panel, as you can see here. The circuit board is fairly well labeled. It doesn't lay it out into individual like preamp circuit sections and everything else like some products do. I mean, it's very, very basic. There's the sockets for the remote control, the audio output. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all we have here on this board. There's a couple of adjustable potentiometers there. Voltage selecting. Let's go ahead and take a look over at this mechanism itself. So look at this motor. This makes me laugh because if you see the logo on the bottom right there, that is the same brand of motor, probably a very different model number motor, but the same brand of motor that was used in my Yamaha cassette deck. And that's not the only one. There's other motors here. Anytime you have a system that uses a changer and mechanical moving parts, you're likely to have more than just a single motor. This plastic is a strange yellow. It's odd that it's no longer white. Or maybe it was never white. Maybe that's just the way it is. But very interesting. This interesting clip positioning this ribbon cable in such a way. There's yet another motor back there. Very interesting. This looks like something I ought not to try and take apart. So let's go ahead and see how it works. Like I said, I do have the power on still, which is a bad idea. Never do this at home. Very dangerous. You could shock yourself and probably void your warranty. But let's go ahead and I'm going to reposition the camera and we'll go ahead and try it anyway. So I'm going to put it just like that. And where's the cassette? Okay, so the cassette itself, I feel like I'm forcing it out. Oh, okay. That's probably not great. I wonder how much of our problem was this. It's jammed. This is not giving me a whole lot of reasons to love this technology. So we uncovered a problem right there. Oh, the sound of the plastic scratching. Oh, that's awful. Oh, that was terrible. I hated that. Okay. Now I'm going to insert the cassette like this. You can see various cams go into position, and the CD itself is positioned over here. Let's go ahead and look closer at that. Okay, I'm going to do it again so we can see it. So watch sort of over here, you'll see the disc be ejected out and put into position. Again, it is indeed upside down. So again, that's probably not a great position to be looking, considering the laser could reflect into your eye and burn your soul out of your head. I would not recommend doing that. Let's look and see what happens when I change discs. So I'm going to change to a different disc and see what happens. Okay, so that moves up and down to position itself by the various heights of the individual drawers. Okay, that's really interesting. Cool. That's actually neat to see how that works. So the whole mechanism moves up and down. What a complex design. Somebody came up with this stuff. That's what my dad always used to say when him and I would talk about stuff like this, is like somebody thought that up. You know what I mean? Before they even worked to achieve it, they thought, how can we make that happen? That's spectacular. That's amazing. And then to be able to pull it off. Okay, I'm going to try one more time. I'm going to plug the speaker in. Do you ever have words that you cannot say right, or at least you're not sure if you're saying them right? Cicadas? Kickadees? I know that's not right. Cicadas, I think that's what it's called. I don't know if you can hear, but outside I got a window open and they are going to town. Here in Colorado, you know it's September when, by the way, happy September, everybody. You know it's September when you can hear those guys going almost around. They even go during the day sometimes, but every night, every single night. Okay, so powering this guy up yet again. I've got a speaker hooked up one more time. I know I didn't do anything. There's no reason why it should work. Okay, now it's not powering up. Did I plug the right thing in? I literally can't power it up right now. Why on earth? Why? Okay, I thought I killed it because, okay. Yeah, this thing is shot. Totally shot. The bird approves with the decision to shut this off permanently. Hope I can get my CDs out without scratching them. Luckily, they weren't the most valuable CDs of all time. There you go, guys. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. And just when I was starting to think about changing my opinion on this, I was kind of getting excited to hear the pulse flow DA converter. Alas, it was not meant to be. But I hope you guys enjoyed this show anyway. Just noticed this too. Apparently something toasted the inside lid a little bit. So maybe I'm not the first person to sort of give up on this device, but yeah, good times. Okay, guys, and that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for joining. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. If you like these types of CD players, I'd love to learn more about it. Or if you have any tips or tricks on what to look for, let me know as well. Because I think I'm back in the market for a 5-disc rotary changer. I think that's what I really, really want. So we'll keep an eye out. I saw a couple the other day at a thrift store. They wanted like 20 or 30 bucks. It's a little bit more than I want to pay. I'm looking for $10 to $15 for something like that. And it doesn't have to be a super high one. I would love to find a Yamaha natural sound one to match my beautiful Yamaha deck that I picked up recently, but it doesn't have to be that. My separates are pretty much mix and match, which is fine. So anyway, if you give me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. But most of all, thank you so much for being there. Take care of each other. Stay safe. God bless you all. And here's a little tidbit for those of you that have stayed tuned till the end. We have a live show coming up tomorrow. Let me know down in the comments below any questions that you would like for me to answer during that show, and I would be happy to do it. I would be happy to do it, whatever that means. But anyway, that's going to do it for now, guys. Happy record hunting. We'll see you tomorrow.